with Rachel V. Hill, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of Joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
I've got my phone off of silent just in case there's any Broncos breaking news as cuts begin to happen all across the NFL. We're waiting to see, but the biggest news is people upset about good old backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham today. It is a Merilatt Monday. How are you, James?
Great, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready for
People
the week.
People are mad at
Jarrett Stidham. He makes some comments saying he's disappointed that he didn't get the starting job. I don't see why it's a bad thing, but some people are angry.
Well, you're, paraphrasing in kind of a kind way to Jarrett Stidham.
How?
He was a little salty.
Shouldn't you be?
Internally, you don't have to say it publicly. You don't want to be someone who comes across like you're a problem. You're not soft. It's just you're supposed to be a good soldier. Say, hey, it's good competition. I'm here to help out Bo. And if my opportunity arises, I'm going to take advantage of it. How hard was that?
He got directly asked if he was disappointed if he didn't get the job.
Well, don't take the bait. Just because the media puts the hook with a worm in the water doesn't mean old Jarrett Stidham has to come chomp at it.
Also, though, this was the very last question in the press conference. He had already said that he's going to be prepared to help Bo Nix because he's like, it's his first NFL season. He's going to be ready to do all of that. And then he got asked about finding out the news that he wasn't it. And people are mad that he's disappointed that he didn't get it.
But see, it's the whole thing, too. He's been a little bit arrogant throughout this entire process, throughout all of training camp. And, you're going to carry my pads, rookie, and then standing on the sideline during the Colts game like he's Aaron Rodgers over there. Like, I got my series, and now I got my earpiece in, and, let you guys go do it. Like, you've started 4 games, dude. You've won 1 NFL game. 1. And you're acting like that, like it's your job, and like you're the incumbent, and you're the heir apparent. It's like you played 2 games last year. Your team went 1-1. You beat Easton Stick. That was the only game that they won with Jarrett Stidham.
Yep.
It's like, come on. And the other guy was the 12th overall pick. Like, you knew you were holding that spot temporarily, and you'd be holding a clipboard pretty soon.
Okay, but if Bo Nix was the exact same way, everyone would be like, I love his confidence. This is so
yes,
great.
Because he's the number 12 overall pick. He's not Jarrett Stidham. How about a reality check?
But how about a reality
He's delusional.
How many other rookie QBs are going to be starting in the NFL? He may not have won the job. If he would have came in at OTAs and minicamp, everyone would have been like, oh, this is great. He's so competitive.
But, I know I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL. Really?
That was a bold statement.
You've bounced around from team to team. You've started 4 games. Your stats are almost exact equivalent to Paxton Lynch. You're 1-3 as a starter. But I mean, listen, again, I get it that it's confidence. You can believe that internally. Like, I know I can do this. I know I can do it after going through a camp.
I think that's good.
I know I can do this. But it came across the wrong way. It came across as a little bit of sour grapes. It came across as you were trying to take a little bit of the shine away from Bo Nix in his moment. Like, we all knew it was going to be Bo Nix. We all knew.
Who knew that we were going to argue, like have different opinions on this one?
It's like being surprised that Kim Jong-un wins the election. Like, we all know how it's going to go. Right?
James.
Like, and then acting shocked by something that we knew was 100% going to happen.
Oh my God, that's far too good. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm shocked that we are disagreeing on this, actually.
Well, I mean, look, do I think what he said yesterday alone was all that big of a deal? No.
You think it's just adding up?
Yeah, it's the cumulative, right? Like, it's just sort of are we all kind of not just over Jarrett Stidham? Like, Zach Wilson is a much better quarterback than Jarrett Stidham.
I will say there's a lot of comparisons with Drew Lock, though, with Zach Wilson that I've been hearing. So it's like
100%. I think that's spot on.
You know what you're going to get with Jarrett Stidham? Yeah, is he going to lead you to the playoffs? No. But with Zach Wilson, are you ready to ride the roller coaster if you have to?
Well, when I go to Disney World, I want to ride Space Mountain, not the People Mover. Right? Like, yeah, you know what you're going to get. Is he going to take you to the playoffs? No. Then what's the point?
That's why he's not the starter.
Give me the roller coaster ride. And I just watching Zach Wilson yesterday and watching him in person for the first time. I mean, the throws that guy can make, it's just different. It really is. And, all the rest of the things, you can coach footwork. You can coach X's and O's and some processing and all that kind of stuff. You can't really coach arm strength. And he makes some throws. It's just like, man, these are all NFL quarterbacks, right? Like on the other side, it was Desmond Ridder. He was I think a second round pick. Like he was a big time college quarterback. And it's just Zach Wilson, the way the ball spins out of his hands, it's just different. He'd be my number 2.
I can't help but laugh at you. Your comments today. Totally agree. And it's crazy to see the difference between how he was with the Jets and now where he's at. Like whatever Sean Payton did, he instilled some confidence in him, really worked on technique and stuff. He looks totally different. His composure out there was solid yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and look, he took some hits, but there were also some plays where he had all day to throw the ball.
Yeah.
So with all of this, we got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with Bo Nix.
Yep.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with Zach Wilson.
But they
still haven't played really against any starters.
No.
I mean, the Colts maybe played some of their starters for like a series or two.
Still not.
But not their main guys on defense, and certainly not against a group that was game planning against them. So if the Broncos had to play a game with Zach Wilson and the opposing defense spent all week getting ready to defend him, I don't think it's the same positive result we just saw against the Cardinals. But he did look good, and you can only perform in the situation you're put in, and it's better than going out in those circumstances and looking bad. So I thought it was all encouraging for the most part. But I wrote about it at denversports.com today. There is one major concern with this team. They still have a fatal flaw. And it was their biggest problem last year offensively, and nobody wants to talk about it. And they haven't fixed it.
I haven't read your article. Usually I try to make sure I read every single Monday just to see what James is fired up about.
I would think you would start off your day with Wordle and then my column.
I haven't played the Wordle in...
What?
Since COVID?
Oh, that's like tradition.
Do you play every day?
Yeah.
Do you always get it?
Today was in 2. No spoilers, but
Jake Merilatt.
That's not normal. I'm normally like 4 or 5.
Okay.
But anyhow, so last year, guess what?
What the issue is?
Yeah, go for it. I thought you were going to try and guess the Wordle. I'm like, this is going to be really boring. Show. No graphics. Okay.
Running back.
Yeah, they can't run the football. So last year, going into the season,
Audric Estime or Blake Watson looked fine yesterday. I know they're not your starters, but really?
No.
I think that he looked fine.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
So last year, we went into the season. Everybody was telling us Sean Payton's going to want to run the football. They're going to be run-heavy offense. And I was like, no, they're not. He's an offensive-minded head coach. They love to showcase what they can draw up on the whiteboard, and that's where they get to be creative. So I didn't buy that to begin with, and then they didn't do it, but it was also because they couldn't run the ball. They were in the bottom half of the league in total rushing yards and yards per carry. They were second to last in rushing touchdowns with 8, 3 of which came from their quarterback. So you take him out of it, their running backs combined for 5 rushing touchdowns in 17 games. So Sean Payton talked about how bad they were in the red zone, particularly inside the 10-yard line. Think back to that Detroit game. They couldn't punch it in from the 1-yard line when Russ got yelled at. They were trying to run the ball, and they couldn't do it. Well, this year, they're averaging like 3.69 yards a carry. If you take out quarterbacks and receivers, it's even worse than that.
Okay.
And they've run the football a lot. They've had 94 carries in the preseason. And what they currently are averaging, when you include quarterbacks and receivers, they would have finished 27th in the league last year in rushing.
Also, look at you doing
That's
all
not
that.
good.
Look at this math you're doing.
It's not good. It's not
Preseason math.
fixed. So here's the other part of it. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to be better running the football this year. Why? It's the same offensive line, except for Luke Wattenberg, who's like a turnstile at center in place of Lloyd Cushenberry. Well, he has been.
Poor guy. I thought he doesn't look bad.
He has been. Fun little fact. He was one of the pieces that they got in the Von Miller trade. Was Luke Wattenberg.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. So anyhow, the offensive line's the same, right?
Yep.
The running backs are the same. You got Javonte, although
Samaje's gone.
Well, we don't know that, but he's like their third down 2-minute guy.
He's gonna be gone.
Jalil's still here. He's not like he's gotten bigger.
Audric Estime.
So a 5th-round pick who's Jerome Bettis light is going to come in here and jumpstart this running game.
Hopefully, he looks good.
Or Javonte, because he lost 11 pounds.
He looks fast. Why are we hating on?
He looks fast. Their longest run of the preseason was other than Zach Wilson run was 12 yards.
I'll take 12 yards. First down.
Not for your long. You know what his longest run of the year was last year?
He played in how many snaps?
See, well, he only had 7 carries, which is another, like, what are we
But
doing
how many
here?
snaps did he play?
I don't know, but he only carried the ball
If you're going to
7
come at
times.
me with all these stats, you better be able to answer my
I
question.
don't know how many snaps he was in. He had 7 carries, which isn't enough. It's not enough to find out if Javonte's back. Do you know for sure Javonte's back to being what he was?
No, but no one's going to know that until week 1.
Right. So it's a huge question mark.
So don't hate on the man until we get to week 1.
I'm
If he
not
sucks
hating
in
on
week
him.
1, then you can hate on him.
I'm just saying, people think that Sean Payton can just speak things into existence. We're going to be better at running the football. Okay. I'm sure you'd like to be, but what is that based on? The stats in the preseason, the results haven't shown that they're any better.
That's right.
And the personnel, save for a 5th round pick,
Yes.
is all the same.
Yes.
So why am I supposed to believe that they're going to be a much better running team?
Because you just watched preseason football and you just got to believe until week 1, James, that they're going to be better until they prove it to you and they're out there for every single snap.
If they can't run the football with a rookie quarterback, they're in trouble.
100% agree.
They're in trouble.
100%.
Because they don't have weapons on the outside that can make people pay for saying, we're going to load up and take away the run.
But this also really comes down to the offensive line just has to be better all around. Like, that is the most important thing, because if Bo Nix isn't protected, then they're screwed. If Bo Nix is running a lot, they're in trouble. Yeah, he's fast, but they're screwed. Running backs can't do anything. Your offense is struggling.
I totally agree. But it's a team. And look, I don't know that this is a bad idea.
Mhm.
They've really invested kind of in the trenches. I mean, especially on the offensive side, they've spent a lot of money on the offensive line.
Yep.
Those aren't glamour positions. Those aren't the jerseys you go buy at the team store.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad way to build your football team. It's the
Mhm.
complete opposite of what Prime was trying to do up in Boulder.
We need to get into
But
that too.
they still don't have guys that scare you. If you're Seattle's defensive coordinator and you got 2 weeks to get ready for week 1,
Yep.
and you're just lying in bed at night staring at the ceiling, who are you worried about?
No one.
Right.
That's the unfortunate thing.
That's my point. Now, you might be worried about Sean Payton. In
Yep.
all honesty, like he's a
guru.
He's got a great resume. If I was the opposing defensive coordinator, I'd be like, what's he going to have up his sleeve? He's been there, done that.
He's a trickster.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I mean, just like last year, he opened with the onside kick. He did it in the Super Bowl famously. So there's going to be something that would keep me awake. But what players are going to be on the field? Like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like, if we're just being honest,
Mhm.
there's nobody on that offense that right now is a wow guy. There's just not.
A wow guy. I'm trying to think.
How many of them would start for the vast majority of teams in the league outside the offensive line?
Cortland Sutton has the potential, right?
Maybe he'd be a number 2 for quite a few teams.
Most teams.
He wouldn't be a number 1 though.
No.
For most teams.
Tim Patrick, you're like, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, he might have been. But we're just talking potential at this point for all of these guys. So I get where you're coming from, but I do think you just kind of got to ride the hype until they prove that they are going to be the team a lot of people are thinking.
No, I'm too old to ride the hype. You got to prove it to me. You got to show me. Last year
Unfortunately, though, that's when people bring receipts and they're like, look at this.
I'm just saying I want to see it. I'm not just going to blindly follow wherever Sean Payton's leading me. He's the guy that led us to a 70-20 loss. People just act like this stuff never happened. Like
I think we just tend to want to forget about it.
Well, it's just like, blame it all on Russ. It's just Russ's fault.
I mean, right now it looks like Sean Payton is winning the who was worse.
Well, they don't pass out trophies in August. We'll put it that way.
Okay. Somebody else did Wordle this morning. They also got it. They had. Wait, I have to find this comment. Hold on. It made me laugh.
It was very similar to yesterday's Wordle too.
Oh.
Which was.
He said, I had 4 or 5 letters right in my first guess, and
Yep.
it took him 6 to get it.
Did you always do the same first word when you did yours?
No,
I
I
did.
couldn't tell you.
Because it would just tick me off so bad if one day that was the word.
And you didn't do it?
Yeah.
This doesn't surprise me. How did you do in school, James?
Fine. I did well.
Were you a troublemaker in school?
No.
We were very spot on. I'm in my seat at 9:01, ready to go.
I mean, I don't know about that, but from a grade standpoint, I did fine.
Okay. I'm just curious. I feel like James Merilatt is very in his ways. So I was curious how you were in school.
I think kind of rules are for suckers. So, showing up on time was
fair enough. What about your buddy old Prime up in Boulder? What do you think about these rules that we're now following?
Well, this was going to be my column today, so I may write it later in the week. First of all, I don't, for what we do, especially in, the country we live in, it's like, hey, freedom of speech. I don't like censorship. I don't like any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Me personally, I've had teams call my bosses and try to get me to stop saying things. And so I don't like that. That rubs me the wrong way.
And that does happen, by the way, a lot more than I think most people would understand.
Yeah.
Like you can get a phone call quite often.
There are certain things I don't say now that I used to say. And a lot of them are they're similar to what Deion was upset about with Sean Keeler. They were names that maybe were meant playfully, but they were one of them I thought crossed the line. I think saying it's a circus up there, fine. And I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I do think when he called him a false prophet,
that one's a little rough.
I think it crosses the line because it's a not very veiled attack at his religious beliefs.
Yep.
And basically calling him a phony.
Yep.
In terms of his religious beliefs, and I think that's crossing the line.
It's no longer about what's going on up there in Boulder, like on the football field or at the university. It becomes a personal attack. I agree with that.
So that was the only one of like, you know what, that was a bit much. And I think if you said something like that, if I'm just going to be honest, if you said something like that about a coach who wasn't a Christian but was a different religion, you'd be in trouble if you were Sean Keeler.
Probably true.
So that one, I thought crossed the line. If I'm Coach Prime, would I go down that path? No, because it's not going to make the situation any better. Yeah, it's just going to make it worse. And
which it has. It has sparked headlines and a lot of controversy.
And people who don't know the story very well, which is most people, and the further you go east, and they're just seeing the headline and then they're commenting on it and turn it into a 10-minute segment on Get Up. They're just going to see the top line part of it and be like, that's weak on Prime's part. And for the most part, I do think it's kind of like, come on, man. But I think he does have a point when you get into the details of it and that particular one. But I think you also, I think when you're Deion Sanders and you act like the way you do, which is fine. Again, free speech, do whatever you want, say whatever you want, talk all the trash you want. You know what's coming. You know that's going to rub people the wrong way. It's been rubbing people the wrong way since he was at Florida State playing cornerback. It's like, really? You're surprised that some people came after you? I do think Sean Keeler, though, when you start looking at the list, it's like he kind of did turn into a bit of a name caller that was like, look, there's plenty of substance to criticize up there. Is he trying to showcase his son instead of running an offense that's best for the school? The whole situation with the offensive coordinator being out, and I think it was Sean Lewis, and then Pat Shurmur coming in is weird. You started 3-0, you went 1-8 after that. You blew a 29-0 lead at home to Stanford. A halftime lead. Like, there's plenty of things to criticize on the field. I don't know why you got to go after him in terms of the things he says and the things he does. Is he over the top? Yeah, but it's a fun personality. Like, if we were all the same and we all gripe and complain about the people who get up there and just give us the same answers all the time, and it's like Russ, right? We all rolled our eyes at Russ, and then you get somebody who goes up there and is the entertainer, and now the media mocks that too. It's like, what do you want?
Or is honest with his answer that he's disappointed that he's not the starting Broncos quarterback.
Yeah, but see, you got to be more of a professional.
How they all just come together.
You got to be more of a professional.
And not saying I'm not going to answer your questions, but speaking it out and saying we will not do this at all. That's not, just don't answer the questions. Just ignore him.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would do. That's what he should have done, is just don't call on him. But
that's my point. They made a spectacle of it, and now here we are.
Yeah. I don't think it was handled very well. It does come across as thin-skinned. And, when you're in one of those kind of positions, that's part of the job. Unfortunately, being the head football coach of the University of Colorado comes with criticism and comes with people taking shots at you and comes with people saying things that are unfair.
You get the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was living the life, but now we're seeing some of the lows.
It doesn't, though. It does not give you, as a media member or a fan who buys a ticket or anything else, to say whatever you want to say and there's no repercussions, right? It's
Mhm.
still free speech. John Keeler's not in jail.
Yeah.
He's just not allowed to ask Deion Sanders any questions.
Yep.
There are repercussions to if you want to continually call somebody names.
Yep.
And if you cross a line that I think is a line, obviously Coach Prime thought it was a line.
Yep.
Rick George and the athletic department supported him on that. So then that's the way it's going to go.
I'm with you. It was just interesting on a Friday afternoon to see all the talk around that too. I see some people asking, will we see cuts? Did we answer that? No cuts have been made yet by the Denver Broncos across the NFL. We are seeing cuts being made. Lots of people do Wordle. You're not the only one, my friend.
Yes.
I know.
Wordle, connections, strands, the mini, spelling bee. That's what I do during my coffee. A little bit of a
on
nerd
that
alert.
note, I'm just, I don't
In
even
that
know.
order, too.
How do you have this time?
It
You
takes
have 3 kids.
It takes like 10 minutes. They're not up when I'm doing this stuff. No.
James is 4:30 on his phone, like Wordle. What's the first word? Right.
I always do paste.
Oh, that's a good one. You got an A in there. See if you got an S and E. Okay, I see you. I would say, like, let me know what the Wordle is, but then I don't want to give it away for all the people that haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Go see if you can beat
Very
James's
similar to
Wordle. CeeDee Lamb got his contract extension. That just came out. Congratulations
what are the Cowboys
to him.
doing? Like, again, inevitable. You knew you were going to do this. Why have the distraction for 5 weeks? It's been nonstop.
This is also another really hot topic that I found. How do you feel about Jerry Jones being so in the public when he should be a GM that's having these conversations?
It drives me crazy.
Like, it is such a fascinating conversation.
That he has
to have.
his own radio show and all the rest of that stuff. I mean, look, if I owned a team, I would probably be that way.
Do whatever the hell you want.
So I don't want to be hypocritical about it.
Yeah.
But do I think it's better that Greg Penner hires a GM and a head coach that, however they divvy up the work, that they're the people out in front? Yeah, I think that's better. I think it would drive me nuts. But, listen, the Cowboys are, I know people like to poke fun at them because they haven't won a Super Bowl since the mid-90s. But they're always good. Like, look at what we've had here the last 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, but
When's
it
the last
goes
time
back to
the
the
Cowboys missed the
conversation
playoffs?
of, like, would you all, like, never win the Super Bowl and go to the playoffs every year, or would you rather win the Super Bowl and have a dry spell? I'd rather reach the mountaintop once and then.
But it depends on how long the dry spell is, because it's been a long walk through the desert here since Super Bowl 50.
It has been a long time. Well, hopefully Bo Nix is able to stop the playoff drought here in the Mile High City. Cuts begin tomorrow. Well, really, they can start at any time, but they have to be done by 2 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. You guys, I appreciate all of the comments. Keep them coming. I definitely want to know what you guys think about what's happening with Coach Prime, also who you want to see be the backup quarterback. So please let us know in the comments. We will be back tomorrow, live show again, as we break down all of the cuts that come in for the Broncos, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.